All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing Werewolf the Apocalypse tonight. We are continuing Future Lies and Dust campaign. We are getting very close to the end. Jeremy was saying they're going to storm the castle. It just died tonight, so it could be tonight. Who knows? We'll see. Otherwise, we're in the final arc, so we could have a handful of sessions left, I think. We'll see how it goes. But we got a couple of announcements we're going to go through really fast before we get started, and then we will get started. So first off, many of you have probably already seen this already, but if you're watching this later, check the show notes in YouTube. If you're watching this now on Twitch, we got a new Discord. For a long time, our buddies, Defenders of Cobalt, have let us crash on their couch, but we have finally outgrown that couch, or they've kicked us off that couch. I don't know where the metaphor is going exactly, but there is a couch involved. And we now have our own Discord, and we would love for you to come join and hang out. And we're also doing a special little giveaway courtesy of our friends at Norse Foundry, who incidentally, their logo is one of them anyway, is a wolf. And then anyone who's in the channel within the first week of us putting it up between this werewolf episode and the next werewolf episode, you get automatically entered to win a Norse Foundry gift certificate. So you can get all sorts of wonderful, fancy dice and dice-related accessories. So go there and maybe win something. Jeremy can't win anything because I said so. There we go.
Oh.
All right. I take it back. Jeremy, you can win something. It's fine. Anyhow, it's to give away a couch. So we're giving away a couch to the first 100 people who join the Discord. Gets a free couch. So that's the first
on the
thing.
side of the street.
It looks like Melissa has already hit Nightbot for it. And then the second thing, our buddy Aaron, our buddy Pete's got a Kickstarter. You want to talk about it, and I'll drop a link.
Absolutely. So you probably heard me talking about it before, but Pete, who is Mr. Garblag himself over from Garblag Games, has officially started his Kickstarter today for Heroic Deeds. It's his high fantasy role-playing game. It's got that classic fantasy feel with modern mechanics to it, and it runs through the end of February. He's already 50% funded, so definitely give it a shot. He's got some YouTube videos up that explain the game. He's been playing it over on Garblag Games for a month or so you could check out it on the YouTube videos, and we're going to do a quick playthrough of it starting next Tuesday as well. So give it a shout.
Yep, absolutely. So in our normal Marvel Tuesday, Steven has quit the channel and doesn't want to hang out with us anymore. So Aaron has graciously decided to step in and run the game instead. And so we're going to be playing some Heroic Deeds. So come watch us for the next couple of weeks playing that. And hopefully if you like it enough, go back it on the link. Again, check the description, all that kind of good stuff. So plugs out of the way. What we say we start playing. Let's start, I guess, just meeting the people who are playing. So Jeremy, tell us about Eustace.
Yeah, Eustace Hart, Philodox Hart Warden, just a good, easygoing guy. I would give you the shirt off his back. It would sometimes worse. Would you? I'm not going to go there. Just Evan stretches, and but what the pack needs.
God, that was great. That was great. Fantastic. Melissa, tell us about Selena Bendis.
Yes, Selena is our Children of Gaia Theurge. She actually successfully completed a Hair's Leap last session, so she's super excited about that. Would like to see stars again in the way that she did before, and yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, you leaped on top of a speeding Winnebago that was trying to corral a loose gargantuan kaiju spirit that wanted to eat small towns and such. That was really fun. Next up, Evan, tell us about Duke and his various stretching routines.
Yeah, I'm playing Duke Dustfang. He is a Silverfang Galliard. I think he's going through not like a late life crisis, but I think he's maybe developing a nudist vibe, but he might be going through his new phase now that he's experienced kind of some free will that he's never really thought about. But we'll see, maybe he'll play it into action, but we're supposed to be guards, so maybe not. That probably wouldn't work.
Interesting. Gonna broach that topic with the Sept. What do you guys think? Just hear me out. Nudist colony. Nude orange collection. It'll be fine,
Mhm.
Because you guys are at Orange Grove. You just go around nudist colony picking oranges. It'd be great.
Yeah, natural oranges,
That
naturally
probably
picked.
I would guess that exists somewhere. That I would imagine that probably exists in the world. Okay.
I mean,
Uh,
why not?
Jacques
probably
is down with
Florida.
it, obviously, because he does not like clothes anyway.
That's true.
He was
See,
the
we're
original nudist.
Almost
Everybody
halfway
else.
through the pack.
Yep. Yep. Next up, Kipser, bonjour. Tell us about Lou.
I will leave. Lou Riel is a Ragabash glasswalker who you could call, what is the old term, gumshoe? She is a paranormal PI who enjoys kind of talking to spirits, even though nobody else sees them. Definitely has never done anything wrong, and everything is okay with her family and friends.
Except for a whole one arm there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he would give you 2 thumbs up. That's why I said this
And
in
I
Discord today.
definitely gave Jacques back all the tech that he gave me.
That's true. That's fair. You did actually get some interesting tech, right? You did kind of collect some
Yeah,
interesting
yeah,
tech. Yeah.
Just that I haven't had a chance to pull it apart, but yes.
Fair enough. Sure. No, thank you, Steven. You got a second command there. Kipser, you excited?
No. What are you doing?
We're
No.
moving up. Look at that.
No.
That's great. That's fantastic. If anyone ever sees Kipser, just randomly sees Kipser on the
cruelty
street
to
somewhere in Canada, just make sure you say Bongiorno to
No.
her. Gotta do it.
Cruelty.
No.
Cruelty to players.
Okay. And then finally, Aaron, tell us about Jacques.
Jacques Quireclaw is a red claw, a wolf, and hidden in human skin. Born under the Ahroun moon, the warrior's moon, the full moon. He is a soldier in the army of the Green Mother, in the war against the worm, and more importantly, the war against the Weaver, the true enemy of the wild.
Well put. Well put. And as you might expect, Lou and Jacques get along just famously, just absolutely famously. Yeah, really, really close friends, those two. Okay, so last time around, you all were able to reunite with one another after some separation around that kaiju. The pitcher plant spirit was able to detach itself thanks to Duke's ritual. Lou, you were tasked with rushing Bodhi Darkpaw and his various pack all the way back to Guy's Grove to get them some medical attention, as they had been skinned and were in the process of being devoured. But they got ejected, and so over time they will heal up. Jacques, you are mopping up some random lockroom mercs and such with the help of Canon Red Fever, one of the Stargazers, and later you actually interrogated an Echo Labs tech who gave over some bits of information about the company, about Sasha Bennett, another high-level scientist by the name of Dr. Lomax, and other random little bits and details about Signal Mountain, which is one of the places you've heard about a few times now. Selena, you chased after Orn Moonshadow, and you actually eventually participated in a ritual to calm that the Stargazer spirit and get that to stop rampaging all over the place. And eventually you all left. And so you returned back, but you cleared out any trace of werewolves, and you collected some tech and things like that, some subdermal tech, some uniforms, things like that from the dead researchers and the security around Whispering Sands. Back at Gaia's Grove at your sept, you started to recuperate a little bit. You spent a little time. You learned, Lou, that Riley unfortunately needed his arm amputated after the attack that he and Lucas had suffered while you were up north. And you also debriefed Adora a little bit on the incident with the Stargazers, and she still seemed to have some prejudices against that pack. Warchild's pack, speaking of packs, also returned, used Lou's information to help them free the 2 incarcerated members. They tried to debrief you about what they learned from their scouting of Signal Mountain, but everyone just assumed that Warchild's pack didn't really have any information. So yeah. And then out of the air, landing on one of the orange trees, Mother Morella, in her the equivalent of like a Glabro form, appeared. Big wings, weird looking face, started squawking out strange prophecies and such, dooms and curses and weird cryptic messages. And Lou considered taking a shot at her, which kind of surprised everybody, then talked about it so long that Mother Morella was able to fly away. So that is what happened last time. We are going to pick up. I'll give you an opportunity. If there's anything you wanted to do in the immediate aftermath, we'll say War Child's still around. Mother Morella has already flown away. You can see your young, that young pack of werewolves that you had brought down from Josiah Dawnclaw's commune are there. They seem a little unsettled with the arrival of Mother Morella. You can see all of them are like huddling and talking and whispering to one another. And War Child's still there trying to debrief, and they're all now very confused at the appearance of this creature. So we'll pick up immediately after that in case there's anything you all wanted to do. Is there anything you all wanted to do? What do you think?
Jacques would want to talk to Adora and any of the other elders and see if they'd ever heard of any human or mage or anyone having the technology or the abilities to force werewolves out of their chosen form.
Okay.
And if they've heard of something like that, is there a way to block it?
Okay. Adora. So if you speak with Adora, since you're talking to Adora, we'll just give it to you then. She will say something to the effect that technology, who knows what the Weaver, and she makes a little face when she says that to you, Jacques, has devised, and in what corrupted state their spirits might be in to make such a thing happen. But there are some gifts, there are some gifts that have been known to interfere with shifting. So it stands to reason, I suppose, that the possibility does exist, frightening as that sounds. And then she'll make reference to the dirge singer from the very beginning of our campaign, who had the ability, when they were singing, to increase the difficulty of your shifting, and actually made it more difficult. And so she'll sort of reference that as kind of a base in terms of knowledge, and it's certainly possible that some have found another way to do even more than just make it more difficult, to interfere with it. Who knows?
Have you ever heard of the pestilence of humanity leashing werewolves in silver and lashing them under control?
She makes a very grim face. There have been such stories, horrific, but humans doing it on their own is just hard to fathom. They are very weak. To see a Geru fall under their leash, they must...
Do you think leashes or mages?
Could be, but mages are themselves very fragile. It wouldn't take a werewolf but a moment if they were to free themselves, to rip through a mage. And beyond that, we've not had any... Well, we've not had any mages that have been against us, at least, that I can remember.
So then that leaves the leeches?
I suppose, but their ranks have been weakened across the valley.
How about the corrupted Fomori? The children of the worm?
That, I believe, is the most likely candidate. It would not be the first time that humans have found some way to apprehend or manipulate, co-opt, and use them for shared purposes, motivations. That, I think, is quite possible, in fact.
Elder, do you know of any rites that might be sung that might strengthen our connection to the wild and prevent someone from stripping away our abilities to change?
she thinks about that. That I will have to. I will consult our spirit. And I will consult some of the others. And perhaps Duke might know as well. We will look into that. So, and we'll assume this is all nearby. You're welcome to jump in on that if you like. Otherwise, was anybody else doing anything? So Jacques, Adora, you pull her aside, you talk for a moment. Anybody else doing anything?
Rather than go and just be supportive to the younger pack, I imagine that probably, well, for part of the phrase, ruffle some feathers. Gotta be a little awkward, disconcerting. Hope y'all are feeling well amongst yourselves. Y'all are a fine, strong pack of young men and women, not children. I remember. I'm sorry about that from earlier.
Titan, who seems to be something of the pack leader, he kind of turns to you, and the first time, he's never really demonstrated like fear, concern. You never really got that sense from him. They were trepidatious about detaching themselves from Josiah Danclaw, but you never really got the sense that they did so because they were afraid of him necessarily. But you do, I would say, Eustace, especially since you're a fairly empathetic person, you do get the sense when you step over, like the anxiety amongst them is almost palpable. Like you can see the concern in their faces, like ruined skybinders. Like she looks pale. And Titan turns to you and says, "You think he's gonna make trouble for us now?"
Well, he might. Now, here's the thing, though. I get the feeling he's kind of the old coot that wants to present a face. And just remember that part of his weakness will also be his strength, because he wants to present himself regally, but that means he does not want to be seen as somebody who goes against such a thing. So if you've not broken any accord and you can make sure that that is known amongst his peers, well, basically he doesn't want to make himself look like an asshole. He wants to make himself look like the big shot, right? So maybe that's one to keep in mind. And yeah, of course, you're going to get Mother here spouting a bunch of nonsense. And yes, I understand she does have the capability to do some foretelling. But at the end of the day, isn't prophecy just kind of like a prison that you create around yourself? Don't let yourself get locked into somebody telling you what's going to happen.
It's Rune who speaks up when you say it's nonsense. And she actually almost looks offended when you say that. It's not nonsense.
No, I don't mean nonsense. I believe it.
Her visions, they come true. And I get them. And she was helping me understand them. And I haven't seen what she's seen, but
exactly.
She's very, you have to understand, Eustace. She was kind in her way to
believe
us,
it.
and she trained us and she helped us. She used to get visions all the time that would, she could see a werewolf on the verge of the first change, and she knew exactly when and exactly where. And that's how Josiah was able to recruit so many, because he would send out and find them. I've heard that if they would have changed when no one was around to help them, they could have been lost for.
No,
forever.
I can speak to the truth of that. I know my first was, it was about as terrible as it can get. I didn't have anybody there for me. So I get that. I hear you and I understand that. And I appreciate that you want to do that sort of thing.
And when the militia came to try to take us out of our roost, she saw it. She saw them coming, and we were able to prepare. We had defenses. We made sure nobody was outside of the commune, and we were able to deal with them as quickly and as we could.
Yeah, they got a vested interest in taking care of you. I hear that. I will say,
when the local law enforcement came looking for the bodies of the militiamen that we had killed, we knew exactly where to hide them so that they would not be found. All of this was at Mother Morella's. She saw this. She insisted. She saw all these things.
Absolutely. That sounds like 100% something they would do to protect their interests. And I do see some of the good in that. I have to ask, how has it felt not having to, like, talk about like your wisdom this, your wisdom that. Has it felt nice not having to?
To be honest, I'm a little rudderless. I still have my visions, and I still have trouble sleeping, and I still slip into my trances and begin my sketches. And she kind of looks at some of her friends. She's like, and I still babble, but I don't have her to help me understand them anymore. It's I'm on my own. There's no
you're
one
not
here
on your own.
in your sept that has the foretelling.
We may not have that talent, but you still have your pack around you. And ultimately, I want you to do what feels right for you. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to tell you to go running back to her, because I get the feeling the rest of your pack, you had a friend there. It sounds like things weren't quite as peachy keen as it was presented on the surface, that there's some good, some bad too.
I don't know what peachy keen means, but
yeah, I'm old. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, things were strained more so than appearances might have let on.
Sometimes when somebody wants you, they will show you kindness in a form that is useful for them, but then perhaps give very vague notions of foretellings that, she spouted a bunch of stuff about doom. When I say nonsense, I don't mean that to say I don't believe in her capabilities, but I do mean that the information she chooses to share is done so within a framework that leaves you nervous, pensive, maybe not entirely sure if you should trust in the strength of your pack and you should go running back to mama.
Well,
I don't think it was an accident that she chose to come to you in that fashion. I respect your decision, but I just want you to know you have a lot more strength around you than you might realize.
Aren't you worried, though? She said some very frightening things. Doom and curses, the hour of death. These are...
Man,
she's never been wrong.
You are a guru. Your entire life is doom on the horizon, but you're strong enough to deal with it. I was just inside this belly of some spirit that was nearly the size of a city. I got partially digested, and it was what it was. It was doom. It was definite doom to be in there, and then we got out.
That sounds horrible. You'll need to tell me that story. I knew that you had trouble, but no one has shared with us the full extent of what you experienced.
Well, you know what? Let's go to the pub. Let's get around drinks. Let's talk about that. Maybe you guys can tell me some of your stories that you all have done together. Basically, as Eustace would just try to switch.
Yeah.
Like use this as the opportunity to change the direction of their thought.
And they're, okay. And they all just kind of look like, and Titan just shrugs his shoulders and they follow you, for sure.
I got a new drink called the Haunt I want to share with
Eustace,
you.
before you take all the children or young adults, does anybody in that group I know you guys grew up on a little mountain cult. Do you know a
So judgmental.
if you make that face, I will laugh and break, and it's no good. Yep. Hold it in. Does anybody know technology in the group?
Yes, ma'am. We all have cell phones.
No, like
can access the internet.
Good hacking and actually knowing sort of like machine language or Python.
They all sort of look at each other. Well, ma'am, we were always told to keep the influence of the Weaver to a minimum.
No, Jacques, I see you. The Weaver is not against Gaia. It's just another spirit, and they have their own way. Everything is connected in their own way. But does anybody in your group maybe have the connection with the Weaver?
Jacques is behind her going like this. It's bullshit.
No.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
When everything's in balance, it plays its part. Sometimes things get pulled too far in a certain direction, and what was once a triangle starts getting a little wonky.
Well,
there's nothing wrong with the Weaver.
I don't know about that, sir, but and this is Titan speaking of, but ma'am, I can in terms I'm a mechanic. I'm very good with engines and such, but I'm not much with hacking into computers.
Okay, it is going
that sort of
to
thing.
be time to teach you. Excellent. Thank you for volunteering, Titan.
But I was gonna go get a beer.
Oh, yeah, I
at the
know your
pub
friends will
with-
enjoy the beer, I'm sure.
But I can't go because we were in class, and then it seemed like
Yep.
class was dismissed, and so we were gonna
Yeah,
go.
so new class. For one-on-one session, I'm going to teach you a little bit of stuff so you can help me with, Jacques gave me a bunch of stuff and we need to take it apart and figure out what's going on.
And he's looking like desperately at Eustace
Come on,
and the others walkway.
Titan. Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am. So begrudgingly goes off with Lou. Okay. Anybody else have anything that they're doing around the old homestead?
I had a question regarding when Brody was talking about them getting knocked out of form. Did he describe how that happened?
Oh, Warchild. Yeah. So if you get back to Warchild, he's like, "Oh, now you want to talk to us? Okay, I see how it is."
All right. To be fair, I was not the person who was being an asshole. I was just sitting back, and everyone else was like, "Oh, we already heard that," and I was just like, "I feel like we haven't heard that," but I just didn't want to, cause more of a scene.
They started it.
So he will say that. So he'll give you like the fuller, bits of the story, and that's essentially one of the people in his party. I think it was Roach. Roach got hit by something, and moments later stumbled out of lupus because he was in lupus form and got hit. That's what he says. Now, when you talk to him, though, if you kind of examine him, he doesn't have there's no bullet, but he does remember getting hit by something. But at some point, he doesn't remember pulling a bullet out or anything like that. But he does very distinctly remember like an impact. And it was when they were escaping. They had tried to because they explained that there were like some because it's Signal Mountain. It's literally a base on the top of a mountain. And they were trying to find alternative routes, and they were kind of scouting some caves, but that's when they ran into the wolves on leashes and things. And they tried to escape. They tried to run, and that's when they were in lupus form, one of them just got knocked out. They got hit, and they stumbled down, and they almost got run over in traffic because of it.
I guess Duke is trying to deduce because the things we've encountered currently have been like noise based, like the dirge, the ice cream truck. So he's trying to figure out if this third thing relates to that, or if it was a projectile, it seems like way off base. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. You could make a roll if you want to sort of kind of deduce it.
Because his idea is what if we try to wear earplugs and have some way to just limit hearing things, and that way it could help us.
You could do a wits or intelligence. Either one of those is fine. And maybe, a science would be pretty good, I would think. Yeah, let's do science.
Okay.
This is really just you trying to deduce. And you could just give me half if you wanted to, or you can roll it. It's up to you, because this isn't a thing that we're...
Well, half is 1, so...
Okay, yeah, if you want to go for it.
Okay, 2.
2. So getting hit by something, you've heard multiple things from different groups. This company, Echo Labs, is very interested in signals. And assuming Jacques, and I'm assuming this, Jacques, but you tell me if I'm wrong. Did you debrief everybody on when you interrogated the one Echo Labs guy? Did I kind of tell everybody what happened?
Yep.
Okay. So I would say you would probably conclude, Duke, that he kind of used signals in the way that you all mean spirits. It seems like that was the terminology they were using. They're almost like they're picking up the spirit world and spirits, but they're doing so in a way that seems more like radio frequencies and other types of waves. And so it's certainly possible that maybe he got hit by something from the Umbra that manifested in the physical and kind of took them. So it could be something like that could have potentially happened. That just wasn't necessarily on the visible spectrum when it happened.
Right.
So that's probably your best guess with two successes.
Do we have any? Are there any spirits that are friendly to our sept? Like large spirits, not like as big as the Rocky Mountains, but big enough that because you said that Signal Mountain is the Umbra is blocked off around Signal Mountain. Do we have any spiritual allies that might be big enough to try to breach that barrier so we can figure out what's keeping everybody out of the Umbra in that area?
You've got your Cairn spirit you can speak with, but you know that your Cairn spirit is usually one of nurturing more than anything. It's one that cares more about ensuring like growth and health of the land, and that's why your grove is so lush. That's the one that you have the best relationship with. Which isn't to say that you couldn't find others. I would say between Duke has plenty of maps and knows old cairns that have long kind of gone dormant or silent, uncertain why. It could be because they've moved on or just no one's really protecting them or tending them. So it's certainly possible you could seek some out. That's definitely an option. And then that usually entails some sort of trade or offering to get their assistance. If you're around and you ask Warchild more about that blocking, he'll explain like it was, in the Umbra, it was like this red metal pyramid, like right over top of the mountain. Like it wasn't a mountain so much, it was a pyramid. And whenever we got close, it just sort of spun and pushed us out. And then we got launched in a different direction, like something like they were actively enslaving or using or bribing like spirits to push us away. Like repel us.
Did they stink of the Weaver spirits or?
Yeah, they did, but not just that. The worm
too.
Those dogs on leashes and those caves. We were wandering those caves for, well, it felt like days. It's like a maze. And that's when we realized it was a maze. And it was like spiraling and stuff. And they're like looking at each other, nodding. Yeah.
Were these?
We think those leashes, the dogs, we think they were
like spiral dancers.
Hit us. Yeah, that's what we think. No, for sure. Because we made a strategic exit because we were just doing recon, And we wanted to make sure. Yeah. So
if you hadn't got back here, we wouldn't know any of this.
Exactly. But some people apparently think that we didn't have anything to offer.
I think it was just one person. Let's just don't
Weaver
pull
lovers,
down the whole pack.
Weaver lovers. the ones who had the black spiral dancers leashed, were they human? What did they stink of?
They stunk of the worm, brother.
Bamori.
They were infested. They were corrupted. They had wild looks in their eyes. We fought every instinct. We wanted to rip them free. But they were corrupted.
It's better that you didn't.
Yeah.
It's glad to have your pack back, brother.
We're glad to be
We'll deal
back.
with the waiver in time.
Someone's got to deal with. He kind of like motions to where Lou and Titan are going off to do hacking. Poor Lou. Oh god.
Yeah, to be clear, Lou is going to send Lucas back to the apartment so that he can have some space and chill out.
Sure.
And then essentially not sleep for 48 to 72 hours while she goes through teaching and I guess informing Titan why they're doing this with Sasha Bennett and then what they'd seen and Dr. Lummox and TDG and she'll kind of just why this is important and then force him to kind of learn some tech stuff.
Okay, so we'll say you're literally pulling double all-nighters, so to speak, to try to do some hacking. To try to teach Titan, obviously, howling them in between.
Yep.
Okay, so if you would like, you can roll, and I'll give you a plus. You can take an extra die for this because you do have Titan assisting you. Computers, he's fine with computers. It's not like he doesn't know how to use them. It's just he's more
probably
of a
better
mechanic.
than anybody else that I've worked with inside of my kid.
Yeah, I mean he's very good at engines and machines. He's extremely good at it. Actually, he just has a knack for it.
Jacques
Okay.
knows how to handle computers. He hikes his leg.
No, stop peeing on my stuff. Technology and what? Wits or intelligence?
I would say intelligence. You're taking your time. It's really not about an immediate thing. So this is all over the course. So what I'm going to give you is like something you've accrued, like information, things that you've observed, or you're messing around with this over 48 hours. And honestly, the better you do, the more you make. So
Okay,
force
well
pretty
then I'll
Force
oh, pretty good. I could do a willpower and re-roll 2 of those.
Nah, I think you're good at 4.
No?
4's
Okay.
fine. Excuse me. All right. So while you are working with Titan and you're going through this, and he's a quick study. He definitely is. It's not like he's struggling. There are times he's just sort of nodding quietly. He doesn't really ask questions. But if you ever ask him to go do something and you showed him how to do it once, he can easily repeat it. He
Right.
usually can't figure everything out on his own. He doesn't necessarily have that kind of intuition yet, but he certainly can follow instructions very, very well. What you discover, first I'll say, if you're looking into Benjamin Lomax, is the full name. So Dr. Benjamin Lomax, is when you dig into him, it's not hard to find information about him. He definitely has forward-facing stuff. He's clearly out there. He's a medical researcher. So whereas Sasha Bennett was sort of dealing with all sorts of different like signal science, fringe science, there's doing all sorts of stuff with like clairvoyance and various other things like that. Lomax seems to be a medical researcher, and you find his entire academic history. You find plenty of published research papers that he's put out, all of it's kind of peer reviewed, easy to access, not an issue. And he seems to have a fairly respected reputation, and his expertise seems to be in various medical devices. So pacemakers, cochlear and optical implants, like neuro devices. And you can see that in recent years, he's been pushing and kind of moving further and further, like kind of the avant-garde. And so he's been pushing like these neuro devices that are supposed to try to rewire sort of brain function, motorized prosthetics, things like that. Stuff that sounds like cyberpunky to you in some ways. It sounds like something in a Blade Runner or whatever. And that's kind of what he's been pushing. You notice that he has been a special consultant to a place called Alhambra Correctional, which is a private prison in Phoenix that is specifically geared towards prisoners with special health needs. Very small prison, but he seems to either be like a consultant or on a board or something like that. It's not clear exactly what. And so that's the kind of the biographical information that you essentially get about Lomax. All of that again is really out. It seems like he started off with very clear, simple, straightforward medical research, and he's just been pushing crazier and crazier and crazier concepts. Then you notice as you start digging further and further into this TDG company that you've seen pop up, you can hear many times like Titan's like, what the fuck, what? And he's like,
what did you find this time? Yeah.
And he shows you a screen, like you had just given him like a series of sort of systems, pages to run, kind of go through some things, run some. And when he shows it to you, it's like you thought for sure you were in some kind of financials database for this big time like white collar company, but then you look over and it's like Baskin Robbins, and then you do it again, and now it's like Domino's, and then you do it again, and it looks to be like it's some sort of furniture moving company. And every time you notice, Lou, every single time you try to peel away the outer layers of these extremely deep and complex financial records, that funding seems to feed back. Every time, if you just tab away and tab back, something's changed. It's almost like it's changing in the moment. Like if you didn't know any better, someone was actively working against you, or something was actively working against you every single time. And whether it's you or whether it's Titan, it's just a stone wall. Like you definitely see the presence of TDG, but every time you try to go further than that, something just gets in the way. And finally,
because
after
there's also spirits that can exist in technology, we might.
And when you say that to him, he's like, does that explain this? And he shows you what's on his screen, and you see like the actual screen melting in front of you, and it's just
shit.
he's like, I didn't do it, and it melts to this strange sort of epoxy that coats the keyboard in front of him, hardens, and now it's no longer usable.
Well, Jacques is going to be happy. Okay, yes, that might be it. How good are you at seeing spirits?
I mean, in the Umbra, I can see him.
Okay. Can werewolves teach each other their skill sets, and does that work?
Yeah, but a gift like that isn't something that you just kind of learn overnight. Like it's something that kind of is gifted by your patron, right? Like that's kind of the idea. So he has to sort of earn that over time.
Fair. Okay, well, I'm just going to switch to a Glabro form, and I'm going to take a look to see if there's anything I can see around us right now. Let's roll. Oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. Okay, Glabro.
Okay, you're good. So yeah, you do a quick shift. You hit your penumbra sense. You can just what's half? If you roll half, what's half?
Intelligence plus willpower. Intelligence plus wisdom. Wisdom is 3. Intelligence is 3. So 3 is the half.
Yeah, that should be fine. You do notice as you shift over that this, we'll say the kind of top of the line laptop or whatever that you two are working on, the screen melts. It coats the keyboard. It hardens. You see this sort of like when you put up your penumbra sense and you look down, you see this glistening black oily mass just coating the computer that he was working on, oozing out of the various ports in the back and any sort of other place that might have access to like the motherboard and the other internal parts. You see it's reached over maybe towards yours, and it's already started to infect yours, and your actual deck is starting to turn as well. And you can see that it's just growing and expanding, this ooze, and little bits of it start to drop down and shift along the ground as if it's seeking out other tech.
Oh, Titan, move back. Duke.
Dude, you don't have to be there if you want to.
He pulls a hammy.
Oh my god!
Should have stretched.
I know. I didn't have time. It was a hurry.
Okay.
Duke, everything. There's some of the oil spirit corruption. It's spreading through the tech and is corrupting everything when we are searching for Lomax, the evil medical scientist.
So you're saying I got to get naked, huh?
Well, okay, look, Titan, we are going to step out. If you could stop it, I would appreciate it. I will look away.
Yeah, Duke can do the rite of abjuration. I don't know if you want me to roll for it or we just RP it, but he can.
We just do half. Like we're in that situation where halves fine. So like there's no real extreme.
Half is 3.
Okay, so if you're cool with that, if you're cool with 3, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
This isn't like you can tell as you're going through the process, and this takes a little time, but it's not nearly as powerful, not even close to as powerful as what you've already done. So, it doesn't cause the kind of self-harm that one did. Mm-hmm. And you are able, we'll say, to expel this sort of growing virus, like physically oily virus from Lou's deck, which we'll salvage it. You can do it as well from the laptop that Titan is using, but it's basically bricked at this point. But the most important thing you're able to do is that you're able to contain and sort of keep it in this singular setting and just expel it from the cairn itself. So we'll say that it was trying to reach out and begin. Mm-hmm. You can see it, sort of sneaking over towards cell phones. You can see it shifting over towards anything that had electronics or a signal of some kind, and you're able to curb that from happening. So you expel it from. You can see it sort of dissipate and turn to this hardened gray ash once you're done with the abjuration. Lou, your laptop is functional, but you can tell you probably need to replace a thing or two.
Well, we were on the right track, but Duke, if they're spreading like this, then they might know we're looking at them. we might not have much time. Maybe we tell the others. Titan, you should go back to your group, keep them safe. You can spread the information. You might, if we can't come back, then you guys will maybe need to know all that stuff that I told you.
Go. Yes, ma'am. You're coming back. Like, don't talk like that. I'll put that out in the universe.
Okay. Duke, what do you think? Yeah, maybe time? Because if they're finding us and maybe they're sending spirits through tech.
Yeah, it's not very good. We probably should get a move on and figure out what our plan is in detail and head towards the mountain.
Okay, here's
and
what
get
I
rid of this
found
somewhere in the desert.
Hey, word vomit everything that I found out at you, and also anybody else, or Jacques and Eustace and Selena.
Did you find out whether or not this Dr. Lomax or this Sasha Bennett ever leave the mountain, or if they've got family somewhere in the area that they might be compelled to come see if something happened to them?
Did I find that out?
So you didn't find any personal like residence information, anything like that. From what you did find that Dr. Lomax does have a wife, Cynthia, but you don't. Again, no specific locations. She also seems to be like a researcher in the same kind of field. It looks like she's credited on a lot of his papers as well. But you don't see anything about like where he might be living. You do have Sasha Bennett's main offices, that public facing headquarters downtown. But again, you don't really have any specific locations in terms of where they live. Sasha Bennett, you can't tell, has any family whatsoever. Like there's nothing. Like you look at social media, you look at, like for the company, for Echo Labs, you look at anything kind of going back a ways, and you're pretty sure that you haven't seen even like a friend really. I'll tell you this, Lou, what's a pool? What kind of pool do you have for like wits and insight?
Yeah, I could do wits and insight.
What's half for that?
You
can roll it too. I have no problem if you roll it too.
Rounded down it's 2, so I think I would roll that.
Yeah, go for it. You can give it a roll. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Never mind. Let me use a willpower to reroll some dice.
Okay. She rolled 5 dice, got a burble,
0,
and then 0 dice.
And a crit.
Oh, there you go. You got a crit.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, fantastic.
2 10s.
One thing stands out to you, Lou. When you're tracking Sasha Bennett's, not her personal social media, but you're seeing like Echo Labs stuff. Echo Labs is a think tank. It's well known. There's multiple locations. She's just like the Southwest director kind of coordinator, right? There's other locations around the country, around the world that are doing other projects. So it seems to be a big industry that is well funded, but whenever you try to dig into those finances, that's when things go bad. But one thing you do notice is that Sasha doesn't look like she's aged since she was in college, and she hasn't been in college for 20 years, and like maybe that's just clean living, but she looks healthy, and it's maybe it's just nothing, but it's really kind of standing out to you. But one of the things that you're confident is that it doesn't look like a vampire situation, because there's plenty of images where she's out in the sun. Like there's plenty of images where she's out in the day, but it does seem like there's something that's affecting her age rate or something like that.
Do werewolves know about thin bloods?
I mean, you might. I mean, you could. It's perfectly fine.
Maybe
one of us does.
I probably do not, actually. Vampires is not my specialty, but so she looks like she's not aged, and they don't have any family, Jacques, but there is a thing. Lomax consults at All Umbra Correctional on special cases, so Selena, maybe you're good at kind of doing health stuff. You could play something.
So Selena may not be here.
Fair enough.
She's getting
Never
high
mind
out
then.
behind the dumpster. So.
Can you hack this prison's database and find out when he's scheduled to be there next?
Well, hopefully my computer is bricked, or not good right now. As a
The
spirit.
Weaver is not
No, it's
dependable.
not. No,
at the best
the
of
Weaver is
times.
fine. It was corrupted by something else.
It was corrupted by the Weaver. I had to get rid of it.
Not by the Weavers. Weaver is good.
Okay, Lou, I want to roll for this one though because you do have damage tech. Roll tech.
Yeah.
And we'll say intelligence or wits, whichever you prefer. But I will say we're going to take a -1 penalty to it because you are
-1.
using some messed up equipment. 3 successes.
Guess that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, you can so you can, with 3 successes, you can certainly see not his full schedule, but you will uncover that there are various like Alhambra board meetings, like consultations that he is kind of scheduled to go to, like, or like that show up here and there on Alhambra public calendars, not so much Lomax's, but you kind of find it through looking more at like Alhambra's like business schedule, and you can see that pops up. So you probably have 2 times that he might actually be showing up in the next week.
So here and here is what it looks like.
Do we know what kind of vehicle he drives? If we can hit him before
That
he
I don't
gets to
know.
the prison.
Yeah, you don't have that information. You never really got, like, other than like just knowing, the only reason you really know that he's married is because she seems to be credited on a lot of his papers. But aside from that, you have like, there's like no personal information. And Lou, I'd also say that because you are an experienced hacker, you would also find it that not alarming, but it's you're pretty sure it's intentional. Like his stuff, like he's been scrubbed.
Yeah,
like
they've
really
been
only
working
looks
on
like,
this.
yeah.
I'm going to light a cigarette now and just try to stay awake. But that's what I found out.
Okay. Let's check in with Selena, as we haven't heard from her yet. So Selena, what have you been doing? And is it like Orange Kush? Is it something else? What do you got?
So
Get it? Because it's orange fruit?
yeah, got it. So early in this scene, like when the youngins were kind of hanging out with Eustace, whenever everyone but Titan got to go back to their like bunks that night, so Selena had made little tiny gifts with some green for all of the new arrivals. So that was just sort of left there for them.
It's like a pillow mint.
Welcome.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, just
I
like
wanna go to that.
A rolled up
Hell
joint.
yeah. It's fantastic. Okay.
And so she has actually been away from the grove a bit. So she is trying to sort of go around to different places and see if she can like try to recreate her little newfound, like see some things and just see if in any of the places that we might be, like, not that she's going to like roll right up on like exactly where we're going to go, but she's sort of checking in like the downtown area about where we think that building is, and then over in kind of the general area, because there's like the forward facing place, there's the prison place, there's a place out west, so just kind of general location and just see what she can see.
Okay, so like the Alhambra stuff, the forward-facing headquarters of Echo Labs, all that's, you know, it's city limits of Phoenix. Like even Alhambra, the correctional facility, they're not next to each other, but they're both sort of in the city. Signal Mountain is way the F out west. It's like, and you know that it's by the nuclear station. There's like a nuclear generating station out there. You know, it's way out there, so they keep that far from the city. So you can so you want to go to like the places in the city and see if you can just see something. Okay. Are you just doing?
Yeah, she's just.
Okay. Are you just doing just sort of old fashioned, just kind of staking these places out? Is that kind of the deal?
So she kind of wants to use her see the sky, see the Umbra stuff that she's got, and just see that kind of a stakeout, and just see.
You're gonna try to like divine some things based upon spirit. Okay. All right, then let's do a roll. We'll say it's an occult as the skill, and we can do we'll do wits. Occult wits, and you can do half if you want, or you can roll it. It's up to you. Rolling always has the potential to get crits and things, so half is just it's sort of
Rolling's fun, so I'm gonna roll. Half would
Just remember
be
that.
like. This is true.
That's a phenomenal roll.
Five successes is way better than what half of it.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. So okay. With 5 successes, you see Sasha Bennett come down from the headquarters. Do you go inside the buildings at all, or do you just sort of linger outside?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm definitely on the outside.
You see Sasha Bennett. You see her come down and she enters into this, what looks to be like a specific car for her. She's not driving. Someone opens the door. She has a small security detail with her. They're well dressed. They're not dressed like your locker mercs. They're dressed like business people, right? They look more like Secret Service agents than anything. And you see her get into a vehicle. It's not a giant like SUV or anything like that, but you do see that it seems to be specialized. Like it doesn't look like it's right off the lot. And if you're really kind of looking into the spirit world, which is messy as hell in the city, like it is just nasty and strange. There's corruption. There's there's tech, but she is a beacon of like, you can tell that there's something in her. Something has inhabited her. You can see that she has taken a spirit within her. What exactly that relationship is, you don't know, whether it's symbiotic or whether it's more like she's, taken it and sort of captured it, enslaved it in some particular way. But you can tell that she is not just human. So that's one thing you'll get with 5 successes. That's huge. The next thing you'll see when you head to Alhambra is, presuming that you've kept in touch with Lou. Is that, would you say you would have kept in touch with Lou, or are you just kind of off doing your own thing?
I mean, I keep my cell phone on me. So if Lou would have reached out with any kind of message about anything, Selena would have read the message, unlike other members of the sect who may or may not keep their phones on them.
Doesn't even own a phone.
God, I miss those days. I miss not having a phone. It's the greatest feeling. I took a long time to get one. Like I resisted for so long. I hate being tethered. Anyhow, it's not about me. So you head over to Alhambra, and it is the finest looking prison you've probably ever seen in your life. Like this thing looks, it doesn't have that worn down feeling. It almost looks like a high-tech facility of some kind. You're not sure the age of it. It's not that old. It's probably maybe 5-6 years old in terms of like what you can guess. Like it doesn't look like it's been there for very long. And it looks like a semi, like maybe 5 stories or so high building, sleek in design, ultra modern, but at the same time highly secure. Like you can see that there are a significant number of people that are on various stations and guards. You also can tell that there's just an alarming amount of equipment in the area around the prison, but also on some of the nearby cross streets and things like that. It looks like there's a lot of CCTV and that sort of thing. If you linger for a while, one thing you notice is that there is in the time that you're there, we'll say this is the same sort of 48 hours that Lou has been doing her thing, right? Yeah. You see multiple transfer vehicles show, like 2 times, once per day. You can see this large, like a Brinks truck kind of deal. It's a secure truck for prisoner transport, and it's lettered Alhambra, and you can't see inside of it. Like you don't see who they're putting in, because they bring that into some sort of secure entrance and it comes back out, but you can tell that it's some kind of prisoner transport. And you see that once each day. And in terms of fancy stuff, fancy lights at night, if you're looking up at the sky, you're trying to recreate, you never have that feeling down here. In fact, you've never seen so few stars when you look up. Like this, just being downtown it's almost like
downtown.
It's covered in the amount of
light pollution,
like pollution above you, not just light pollution, but actual smog. Like you look up and it is just Gaia, like mother Gaia. She's reeking out in pain and suffering, like just drowning in this
in the
filth
Weaver,
that's hovering
drowning
over
in the
top.
Weaver.
All these cars going by. Okay. Anything else for Selena? You good
I'm
with that?
happy.
Follow-up questions?
Rolled well. Got some good information there. I'm debating, and I don't think I would have. No. I was considering trying to follow Sasha Bennett, but
You certainly can. We're going to make a roll for that if you wanted, but you can do that if you like.
Yeah. I was thinking that I might have tried to snag because I know there's like vehicles at the Grove, but I know we were also concerned that we had like driven some of the locker room vehicles to there. So I imagine she would have done like a, buy a car out of the newspaper kind of a thing for just
okay.
Like
you're gonna buy? You're gonna spend money?
Little.
What's your income, Selena? Where do you get money from? Do you have a job?
Selling weed, man.
Selling weed.
There you go.
High school students. Oh man, cut that stuff with oregano. It's way more efficient. It's okay. So, all right. That's fine. We don't have to overdo it here. We'll say you're able to get a cheap clunker. That's fine.
Yeah, that's all.
I am gonna want to test from you. I do want. I'm not gonna say drive. Well, yeah. Let's make it drive. No.
Oh, I was hoping for stealth.
I'll take stealth. That's fine. You can give me stealth. Stealth. And I would say dexterity even though you're driving, because I do think like reaction times for when to go, when to not go. I think that still makes sense.
And then I forget what we're doing. I think that they're for rerolls if we need extra rerolls for bets. No, it's like I wanted to call it ahead of time if it was something I needed to call ahead of time. If I was gonna.
I think we are using them as willpower rerolls, like as a single die reroll. I believe. I think that's what it is, as opposed to like the full. Yeah.
All right, then I don't need to worry about that pre-roll. Look at me rolling a crit and getting 4 successes.
Oh god, you're lucky that's a crit. I didn't even realize it was a crit until I looked at it. I was like, you're in trouble here. Okay. So you're able to follow the car. We'll say it's nighttime, and you find yourself leaving this downtown facility, and you find yourself eventually driving into Scottsdale and into sort of the bridge between Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. For non-Arizona folk, we're talking rich places, beautiful places, and you can see that the vehicle carrying Sasha Bennett seems to go into this, what is actually an unnamed neighborhood that's off the beaten path, kind of away. But nonetheless, there are huge iron gates. There's manned security. You could definitely see, again, CCTV footage. You know it's a neighborhood. You can tell it's a neighborhood. And they're not, like if you linger outside, you can watch some cars come and go. But you are not let inside. I will say that. There's no way you're getting inside in your clunky vehicle. That's a whole different trek.
No.
But I would say you know the neighborhood where you would probably presume Sasha Bennett personally lives.
Yeah, the kind of car that I would have been able to afford on the fly might not get up some of the
You're lucky you don't get
in PV.
pulled over in Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You can't drive that here.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, I'll say you have the neighborhood. Okay. All right.
Excellent.
Let's check in with Eustace. So last we saw with Eustace, and you're welcome to go back in time to when you left and sort of play out from there. But last we saw, Eustace, you were heading off to Heart and Soul, your pub, with 4 of your young werewolf partners, because unfortunately Titan was taken. So what is Eustace? What do you want to do, Eustace? What's up?
I mean, they wanted to, largely this was meant to kind of like get them away from getting too sucked into, Mother told you. So give them a chance to reroute. They want to hear about the weird spirit. I'll tell them about the weird spirit. I'll ask them to tell me about some of the stuff that they've gone through. Basically inviting them to kind of switch gears, talk about something else, get them into a better state of mind.
Sure.
It's mostly just a social thing, just to kind of help them not be anxious and second guessing whether or not they should go back to the cult. It's not.
So you're pretty good with like insight and persuasion and composure. You're that's some of your strong suits. So I don't think any rolls are particularly necessary. I think enough of like halves will do, like 3s and 2s and stuff are enough to really kind of talk them down a little bit from their anxiety. You do get the sense that they don't want to go back. Like that's not really where their anxiety is sitting. Like they're concerned that maybe Dawn-Claw comes for them. And so it's less about them going back and more about them just sort of running at this point.
Okay.
And that's what most of them are. Like, so when you talk to the others, so, but when you sort of talk to Rune Skybinder, who, if you recall, was the one who greeted you guys when you first arrived. She had that sort of, she was the first person you saw in that kind of white t-shirt kind of. Okay. So she is much harder to calm down. So Lyric, Ember, and Orion, like they love your beer. They're extremely excited about it. You tell Lyric to tell you stories. Lyric, she's gonna tell you stories like it's crazy. She'll tell you about the militia when that happened. She'll tell you about where they hit the bodies. She'll tell you.
I was honestly kind of wanting to hear more about the militia, but kind of like instead of prodding, let her be excited to talk about it.
So she's excited because really, I would say the gist you're getting is that they still love Mother Morella. Like they actually look at her. They don't miss Dawn-Claw, right? But it's Morella because she was strange and she was weird, but she helped them. Like if it wasn't for her, they don't think they would have been found. And like they could have been some horrible monster that had been put down. They wouldn't have had, this Geru community. And then there were so many times in which she was able, through her roost in the middle of that meadow, was able to sort of prophesize and see and foretell like dangers to the commune. And so they tell you this, like the story of how there was some kind of strange like nationalist militia group that just didn't like their kind. They thought there were some strange thing going on up in the mountains, which they're not entirely wrong by that. But Mother Morella, like she anticipated it, like not just anticipated it. She knew the night it was going to happen relative to the moon cycle. She knew roughly how many people, the weapons they were going to use, talks of like clacks of thunder and things like, so she's talking about guns, and like talking about guns and shotgun and all these types of things. And then somehow she knew exactly when like all the sheriff's department actually arrived and started searching around, and they heard this and that there was some trouble. And this all was like, a while back. It was like 7 months ago or so. It's not recent, but she is more than happy, Lyric, to tell you about it. And it ultimately seems like there was a small army of about 20 dudes who wanted to come and thought that they were liberating. And so they came busting down the door and doing this and that, and none of them left. None of them made it out. And they were able to kind of get rid of these bodies and away in a place. And so like she starts talking about the river and this blood river and how like that was they saw that during the fight as the creeks grew red with blood, and all these different images that Mother Morella had spouted during one of her crazy sessions in the middle of the throne room. And every one of those images came true, like every single one. And sure, some of it might be poetic and metaphorical and interpreted, but it still happened. And so they're concerned. Like you can tell, but they're fretting, but they're also getting drunk. And so they're calming down in that way. But Lyric's happy to tell you stories. Rune is probably the one who's most concerned, and she's the one who has that ability. Yeah.
So Eustace will do his best to kind of do the impact. Like if somebody's been in a bad relationship, you don't do the like, you need to do this, you need to do that. He's going to do his best to just listen non-judgmentally, ask them how they felt about certain things. So if they say Dawn made them feel uncomfortable, ask them, help tell me more about how that felt to you. If they say Mother Morella, if she made them feel better about something, he'll ask them to tell him more about that, and kind of use that. So when he is talking to Rune, it's not coming across like you need to get away from this crazy cult. It's more like, okay, well, tell me more about why you're feeling this way. So it's not so much I'm telling you what to do, but you tell me how you feel you want to approach it.
And so Rune she'll take the lead on this. She'll like, so Eustace, she made us feel safe because she knew things. There's security in the knowledge that she brought. Now, Dawn, you said, and we know, he's not a honorable figure. He is just a man. But she could see things. She knew when dangers were coming. She knew where to find us when we were at our worst. We slept at night knowing that she was perched up in her roost. We didn't panic when dangers came knocking at our gate because we knew ahead of time whether they were to be trusted or whether they were to be mistrusted.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I mean, you'll have to forgive me. What exactly is the bind between the two? Are they legitimately like together, or?
And they all kind of look.
I'm like, what is the tie that binds the two, so to speak?
There was discussion about that. It's not love, if that's your question.
I don't know.
I don't think he knows how, other than himself and his ambition. They all kind of looking like they kind of nod, and we got the sense that she wanted something. It was transactional. She was getting something, and he was getting her visions.
I see.
What she was getting, we don't know.
Well, I wish I had an answer, but sometimes the best thing we can do is get our feelings all out there. I will tell you, I would not shoo her away by any means if she were to show up. I want you to feel comfortable. And in fairness, there is some stuff right nearby that is very dangerous and is doom on the horizon. That's very much going to be a part of your life, being what you are.
She lets out like a sigh. I'm glad to hear you say that. Would you mind, and we're all kind of uncomfortable saying this, would you mind asking Lou not to shoot her?
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I actually was like really, for what it's worth, she was real interesting. He kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies. That's my own feelings. I feel like I would be glad to welcome her if she did show up. I would be glad to speak towards, don't shoot mother. That's a reasonable request, I think. And maybe this might sound like a weird twist, but maybe to some extent, given some of the stuff that we've been running into and you are kind of, hanging at the Grove, maybe she was kind of giving you a warning in her own way. Maybe not so much threatening, so much as letting you know there's danger on the horizon where you're at. Maybe it was her own way of caring.
Rune leans in really closely and she says, I've been hearing thunder for, the entire time I've been with you. And there's no storms. Not in the sky. I don't see any. But I hear it.
Okay.
The crashing of it. And when I woke this morning, and when I woke yesterday morning, I felt sharp things on my feet, underneath in the bed, and when I pulled back the sheets and I looked down, there was shattered, broken stoneware. And the bed was coated in my blood. And when I called, and she looks over, when I called Lyric came and she couldn't see it.
I believe you 100%. In fact, some of these weird, terrible assholes that we're dealing with have been dealing with some sort of sound-based things, which may or may not be related to that, but it definitely perks my interest. I don't know if you'd be willing to share your account with some of the others, maybe after you've had a night to.
They won't put me away like my parents did, will they?
No. We might not be blood. As far as I'm concerned, we're kin. Okay? Nobody's putting you away for nothing. You are sharing something that is very useful to us to know. Remember, in the Umbra, things don't always work by logic anymore. That's just that's part of our life now. Sometimes it's more the poetry of it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I don't have the sight, but
what Mother Morella said. It's like poetry.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the best ways you can approach situations like this. You don't have to fully logic it out. You get the feeling of it and you follow that. If that's what your gut is telling you, I believe you.
It's not literal. It's metaphorical.
Right, exactly. So I think what you have to share is of immense use. I may not be smart enough to immediately know what to do with it just at the moment, but the fortunate thing is we've got a lot of heads we can all put together.
You could see like she finally, for the first time in a while, kind of like, it's like she got a weight off her shoulder by sharing that, and then you reassured her, and she just sort of, for the first time, doesn't look really tense and calms down at this point. And you see at that, she kind of slips into, she's a young early 20s with her young early 20s friends, and now it almost looks like they're just normal people. After a while, they have a few drinks in them and like they kind of start to calm down and just become sort of a normal night after that point. They definitely seem like they've started to calm.
Excellent.
Well done, Eustace. Eustace, do you have any willpower damage?
I don't actually, because you heal some at the beginning of a session, right?
You do. I was going to give you some because I feel like that therapy session probably would have helped you out too. But
if there was a therapist edge, I would take it in this game.
I figured you would. Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah,
you've got that like bartender vibe of like the really easy to talk to.
As the chat said, you'll probably get to do that for my kid at some point.
Yes. It is actually one of my plans. Like once we're past this immediate threat is to
Lucas
spend some time.
Undo my damage.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Remember the last time that you revealed everything to Lucas. Okay, I'm a werewolf, and you said that.
That's why I'm giving him space, so because he's getting some detrimental
worked out
effects
really
from
well last time you did that. Okay. All right. So I think I've checked in with. Does anybody have any other little things that they're following up on, or like again, this is all like maybe a 4 to 8 hour period where everyone's doing things here and there and sort of going separate ways. Anyone else got anything?
I think we're good.
All right. So
yeah, I have something for Duke. I was thinking about while we were talking.
Go for it.
So he wants to try and think, or maybe he knows of what spirits that might exist that could help, that he could try to have them come with us, or someone that would be really anti against what we've learned, right? So like, I mean, Evan, don't know exactly what the pyramid is, but Duke probably has a better understanding. So he's trying to maybe try to find a spirit that could aid us. I mean, I was looking through the list and there's like Inglings that potentially could like cause power outages and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's thinking something like that could be useful for the mountain.
So you would be able to, so in terms of like the types of spirits that werewolves regularly interact with, they usually interact with sort of the low level like gafflings and jagglings, like that tier. But you guys have had interactions with higher rank. You guys had an interaction with a serpentine, which is a kind of a higher rank in the hierarchy. But I'll say this, if you would like, you could roll or just give me a pool, like a half of you have maps. You can go ahead and use your specialty because you do have like this territory, and part of the territory. I mean, like we've talked about this before. We're not caring about like United States borders of states. That's not the geography and the topography that you're getting. You're getting maps of like cairn networks and things like that of before things began to crumble to the state that they're in. And so you kind of have an idea of where there might have been seps decades ago, generations ago. There might be dormant cairns. There might be spirits that could be brought back into the fold. There might be cairns that could be reinvigorated, and in doing so could potentially lend favors. So I think that's probably the better route to take. Like, is there somewhere around that you might be able to sort of beseech for some sort of assistance? So I'll say you could take your specialty die because of your cartography, and then you can add in intelligence, and I mean, honestly, academics or occult, one of those two. I know academics is like one of your bigger ones. So
it's tied to, they're the same.
Yeah, either one of those is fine. So you can either do half or you can roll it, whatever you want.
I guess I'll roll since I haven't done any willpower. Stiff.
Okay.
I'll roll those 3.
4 is pretty good. Okay, yeah. You want to reroll 3? Okay, because you potentially get a
because I don't. Yeah, there's no penalty to it. So
okay, yeah.
So 6.
6 is fantastic.
Nice.
Okay, so I'll give you a couple things basically for this. We'll say that again, 48 hours, you're sending out feelers, you're making phone calls, you're reaching out, you're consulting, you're talking to some of your contacts, all that kind of thing. Whatever means you have. You know that there used to be, or there were, or there are, you've probably not visited recently, some stronger seps, or there were stronger seps in the past, like places where maybe one of your long-term goals perhaps with Gaia's Grove is to sort of ally with them in some way. At the Kofa Wildlife Refuge, which is like near the California border, that there was once a fairly strong Garu community there. But over the past, we'll say, year or two, messengers, because you know that there's various like messengers that kind of come and communicate, none have come. So that, not sure if that's, you've done nothing to offend as far as you know. You don't think Adora or the Grove has done, but you know that there is that community out there. You know that there was a cairn, a forest spirit of some strength and renown within a forest near Prescott to the north, which is about like an hour and a half north. You know that specifically had kind of ejected the Garu that had tried to protect it because it just wanted to be unfettered. The idea of attachment was just something that was abhorrent to it. And there have been multiple stories that have popped up in the newspaper of northwest of Phoenix. There's wildfires and things, and you know with great certainty that it's not just wildfires, that there are spirits at work, that the wild is at work and is sort of cleansing some of the things. Suppose you see neighborhoods that are catching on fire because they're too close to things, and you know that these are spirits that have rage, almost like a werewolf, and are probably acting out in some way. So I would say those are 3. And then you know that between where you're at in Tucson, when you visited your previous friend, there were at least a half a dozen noteworthy, once spiritually relevant sites that you think might have dormant cairn, like a dormant cairn spirit that, if you revitalize the area, could potentially return a favor. So lots of options, tons of options. You know, plenty of places you can go. It's just a question of, what you decide to do and what your group decides to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say then everyone was kind of going off doing various things. Was there anybody else had any like side projects?
I just got one quick question, one clarification when I was talking with Warchild. The pyramid that he saw in the Umbra that pushed him off, was it like a tiered pyramid that, like a Mayan or Aztec
like a
pyramid, or was
kind
it
of thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he does say it did have like tiers to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's and it like shimmered and like almost spun and then pushed them away. And it was massive. It was like literally the top of the mountain had been replaced by this thing.
And he thinks it's a spirit, or
He's under the impression that they have Fomori, they have Banes, they have enslaved spirits, they have things that they're control, because otherwise what happened to them wouldn't have happened to them. They get the general sense that the place is very large, but they get the general sense that there's work being done within the confines that seems to involve the spirit world, the supernatural of some kind. And like the fact that like all these things are kind of in this one location, it does seem, this seems to be a hub of significant activity with spirits and various other supernatural creatures and connections. Okay, so we'll say then that a couple days pass. Anybody who needed to do a Howl at the Moon, get your rage back and try to regen, go right ahead. You have 2 days of doing so. And we'll say that those 2 days have passed. Everyone makes it back to the Sept, various bits of information. All your NPC friends are nearby if you need them to be. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Like, and you could do this in character, you could do this as players, whatever you want. Like, what's your plan? Like, what are you thinking? What is everyone thinking about right now?
I think we need to stake out the mountain area at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe we also want to, because we know the schedule for Dr. Lumax at the All Umbra Correctional. Those are the two things I'm thinking about.
I don't think we're going to be able to crack the security on Signal Mountain without an end. And unless we can find something to push a gap through the Umbra, we're not going to get in that way. So we need, I think Duke is on the right track with finding a spirit that might ally with us. And if we can pick up Lomax or Bennett from her home in Scottsdale and leverage one or the other of them to get the security layout for Signal Mountain, we might have a way in. But I don't think we're going to have any better chance storming it than Warchild's tribe did. And I'd really like to know what this Lord of Thunder is that Mother Morella told us about. I mean, is that some great Thunderbird spirit, some ancient? I mean, the way Warchild said it, that was a ziggurat that was protecting Signal Mountain and the Umbra. Maybe it's an old Aztec spirit like Tlaloc or something.
That's a fair question. I actually was about to, there was somebody who mentioned they felt like they get hit, right? But they weren't shot by nothing. I'm in agreement with your thought there.
Now, if it's some kind of corrupted spirits they have, along with those black spiral dancers on leashes in a Fomori army, we already know they're werewolf hunters. They ambushed us once. We've got no way of getting in there unless we can sneak in either through the Umbra or past the physical security. So we've got to hit either the humans or the spirit away from the mountain, I think.
We do have
And also,
uniforms.
Duke, if Bennett has a spirit in her, it was so bright. You can like separate a spirit from the thing that the spirit is in. Do you just have to be like close by?
Yeah, I mean, we would have to probably capture her. I mean, rites generally take some time, so I don't think I could just like sit in the lobby and be like, don't mind me.
She has a sizable property, so that would be difficult as well, probably, to get within range. But she's still young. She's spirit filled, very spirit filled.
We could potentially take her on the way home, track her from her downtown building, follow her on her route, figure out a relatively clear space before she gets into that rich neighborhood of Scottsdale. And then I could call upon the powers of the wild to shut her vehicle down, to completely lock out her car. And then we could take her.
I mean,
disappear.
it's Phoenix traffic. Accidents happen all the time. Setting up a car accident would not necessarily raise a whole lot of suspicion. People run red lights all the time.
We bore witness to our own crazy accidents. It is true.
Yeah, we could. I mean, however we get her out of the vehicle, it's not really relevant. But we could use my tiny house and put it out in the desert somewhere near-ish to the location. So when we grab her, we
Okay,
go to the tiny
alright.
house, do the ritual. I mean, the issue is if we expel the spirit, we don't know what it is.
Can you capture the spirit after
I
you expel it?
can, but it could be a good, like, is it a bad spirit? Like, is it horrible? You know, it could be a fight if I try to do that.
I mean, we
I would-
also have a plumbing vehicle if we wanted to cause a sewer accident. And then I can just listen for the phone call to a plumbing facility and we claim to be them because we have the car. If we don't want to do the hit and run in traffic and then try to kidnap her, if we want to just take her in her own house.
We don't know what kind of security she
Yeah.
has in her house.
Exactly. And apparently it
It-
sounds like she's got a big estate.
Wouldn't necessarily matter.
If she knows she's being hunted by werewolves,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure she's not packing somebody in there with the means to stop us.
Fair. I don't think, from my understanding, I know I'm not so old as some of the others, but there's not a lot that are like me with the abilities to disrupt technology.
You use the Weaver. I've learned to shut down technology with the wild, the way we're supposed to do it.
Okay, now there's no exactly right way of doing things. You're still communing with the spirits in our own ways.
There's just a more
So-
natural way. Yeah.
It's
Great
not a more
mother's
natural way. It's
No.
it's equally natural.
Everyone brings their own skills, right, Eustace?
Mhm.
Everyone's got their own skills. Everyone
Yeah.
brings their own perspective.
We're all
I'm
beautiful
afraid
snowflakes.
I'm afraid of getting into this secured this secured neighborhood, finding her house, hitting her house, and not having security and police on us
Right.
immediately.
I do agree. As much as I would love to like put on a uniform and get in disguise, that sounds amazing. I also like the idea of like not taking her on in the center of her strength.
Okay, fair enough. We can cause a traffic accident.
So, did we want to try Duke's approach first and try to see if we can get a spirit ally on our side, and then do the
Right. I mean, that's possible too. I mean, I've been preaching that we need more help. So I think potentially doing good to another Cairn or a lost Cairn and getting an ally of a great spirit could be useful. I mean, we don't know exactly. We know some could be a forest spirit, some could be a fire spirit. The one near California
Mm-hmm.
is MIA. So who knows what, is going on there. But I just the question is like, how much time do we have? Like, is Mother Morello's words scary to us? Do we feel like that is an attack on us? Or is that us going into the compound is danger, right? I mean, that's my question, is how much time?
I feel like
We
it's always safe to assume not enough.
Yeah, we might want to make sure that our own Karen is got watches these days because of the Sunder stuff. But the one in California was a sanctuary, a reserve for
Wildlife refuge.
wildlife refuge. Then
Yeah, on
they would
the-
have a
Yeah, on
phone.
the border.
Kofu.
We can do a quick phone call. I have
Well,
learned.
I mean, it's the Geru that I think are missing. So, I mean, if you might call and talk to Joe Schmo, that doesn't help us figure out what happened to the
Well,
tribe or pack.
Duke, don't you know some of the names of some of the gurus so that we can ask about them in a couple?
Of course I do.
Okay, well, what's the problem?
Hey, Lou remembers we can call people and check in on them.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm very good at technology.
Yeah. I mean, Duke has Cairn access. So, I mean, it technically, Duke, if that existed, he has access to get into it.
Yeah, I don't think you would have any issues with that. And I would also
Yeah.
say part of your 48 hours of contact and researching was probably making phone calls. But I would say that to that specific one that you're referring to, the one on the California border, that number seems to have gone
Right. So
disconnected.
something happened there.
That's
Yeah.
not good.
Right. So the question is like, do we want to go to the close one, which would be the forest spirit up north? Do we want to go for fire spirits? I don't think that's very useful. I feel like if we find something that could cause natural damage to the base or knock out the power or something in that vein would be give us a big advantage, at least if we go in.
Well, there's no reason we can't approach all of these at the same time. You could head up to talk to the spirit. We could tail Sasha Bennett again, make sure we know her pattern, try to get a better idea of what her security detail looks like to pick her up. And then even one of us or two of us could even go out and try to go talk to Mother Morella again, see if we can get more information out of her.
Well, we'd have
Say
to somehow
spend
get her away.
24, 36 hours working on those 3 prongs, then circle back and execute the plan. If we've got a spirit to help us get through the Umbra, or if we need to take out Sasha Bennett and have her get us in, we'll know more then.
I'm very curious about what happened to the large Karen in the California border. Like, I know I keep talking about it, but that they got taken out is scary to me. That potentially got taken out.
Right. Something definitely happened, but
Because maybe it's bigger than we think.
On the Marilla front, maybe instead of going to the compound, we know that she's watching. Maybe with some help to step through into the Umbra, we could leave some sort of sign to make it clear that we're willing to listen or talk. Assuming that she's watching and observing, if we can give her some signal that we're willing to talk with her, maybe she might approach us, which is better than us going to the compound and likely instigating a fight that we don't need.
Have Rune try to reach out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Instead of like actually going there.
Right. They probably hate us.
I think I have their phone number actually, because I called from their location.
Well, let's do at least 2 of the 3 things now. Because I don't think I should go alone if the California spirit is like destroying the tribes, or we don't know, right? But I mean, if they're MIA, which is not normal, then I don't think, I should go by myself. But
Well, then, how about Duke and I check the spirit out? Selena and Lou use their, Lou uses her weaver skills, and Selena uses her already familiarity with what's going on to try to track Sasha Bennett more closely. And Eustace grabs Rune and tries to make contact with Mother Morella.
Yeah, I can follow Sasha quite well.
I love it when a plan comes together. It's great.
And if we don't come back, it was nice knowing you guys.
Aw.
Yeah,
So sweet.
well, I guess we get to find out which one is most dangerous.
Okay. So Selena and Lou are you're on Sasha Bennett duty. Duke and
Yes.
Jacques, you're heading out west, so you're driving to the California border. And then Eustace, I missed what you were doing. What are you doing, Eustace?
I'm going to be working with Rune on Project Danzig.
Okay. All right. I like it.
Splitting the pack.
In 3 different directions.
Good luck, Jeff.
So I love this shit. Are you kidding? I love it when people do this. It's crazy. Okay,
Efficiency.
so it's great. I think it's awesome. It makes it easier for me to ambush you and have a chance in the fight. Okay. And especially since you're splitting up Jacques and Eustace. Oh, baby. That's too easy now. Okay. All right, so Jacques, Duke, yours is the furthest away, so you're going to be in the car for a while. It's still a day trip. It's it's Arizona to California border. You can still get there, but the afternoon. So if you leave in the morning, you're getting in the afternoon. It's fine. So it's not like it's going to take you forever. And then Selena and Lou, yours takes some time to like wait for her to come down and to actually look for her. So we'll say this is like third day. This is like at this point we'll say it's like 4 days after your issues with Whispering Sands and the spirit down south. But Eustace, yours is you're right there. You got Rune, Skyrender. So we'll start with you then, since like time wise it makes the most sense. So walk me through. Rune is more than happy to help you with anything, especially if you say to her that you're trying to be peaceful towards Mother Morella. So I guess she's like, I'm very happy that you've come around, that you've realized that she can be an ally. She's never tried to harm any of us, so she could have very easily not spoken up, and we could have been monsters for the rest of our lives, which would have been considerably shorter than they are now. So whatever you think, I had the dream again.
Yeah, we are concerned. There's been strange reports from other people. There was one of the pack that had gone out that way. They reported they felt like they had gotten hit by something, even though they weren't shot, which sounds not too out of line with what you've talked about too.
I saw something else. I heard the thunder. It woke me. I looked outside. The sky was clear. There were scattered stars. The moon was a sliver. And when I looked once more down at my feet, where I felt the shards and I felt the blood, I couldn't see. Everything was too dark. But then there was a cackle, and a streak of lightning came down from the sky and froze there inside of my room, as if it just broke through the ceiling. And that's when I could see it again. I called for Lyric, and when she came, she said that I was sleeping, but that she heard me calling nonetheless. And then she woke me up. And this time she sort of looks to the side, and you see her bend down, and she starts undoing the laces of her shoes. And she shows you her feet, and she shows you her ankles, and they are cut up. This hasn't happened before. We couldn't find any shards, but my feet were bloodied.
Okay. Well, we've got concerns that there may be some sort of thunder spirit or some sort of possible, don't know if it's twisted or if it's just anchored in some way, but we do have concerns that there's something of that nature that is somehow tied with these more earthly people doing all their super science nonsense that's all scary. And the combination of the two would be more than what we could just go storm the castle with, which is part of why we might hope to reach out to Mother, as you'd say.
Her guidance.
I think her guidance could be very helpful. I'm concerned that maybe whatever this thing's power is, it's somehow, you hear the thunder. The lightning is probably happening in the Umbra, I assume, and then this is the aftershock, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I got no clue.
My visions have never hurt me before. Not like this.
Well, that's why I'm saying maybe we open ourselves up to the wisdom of somebody who has a little bit more experience with this sort of thing.
We're going to go back north?
So here's my thought. I feel concerned about us just driving to the mountain there. But we know that she's watching. My thought initially was if we could get ourselves into the Umbra near us, maybe we could leave some sort of sign, calling card to her saying that we would like to hear from her. We're ready to talk. I think maybe asking her to meet us and talk with her away from some of the other stuff that's there. Like, because we want to speak with her, not necessarily Don Claw.
Okay, so we're trying to summon her here?
Maybe, because I assume she's still watching you. From everything you've described, I have faith in what you're saying. I believe that she
Okay.
is watching.
Okay.
I don't think me putting up like a cardboard sign up in the air right here is going to do much for anything. But I think if we could work together to get into the Umbra, we could maybe put up a flare, so to speak.
If you think this will work, then I am willing to try.
I mean, with what you've described of her, I've got faith in what you've told me. I'd like to think this could work. If anything, I'm
She
probably
would
going
not
to have
harm
to
you
lean
if
on.
I told her not to.
Well, honestly, this is a situation where like you didn't need to be worried about us doing anything against you. Actually, I'm going to need to lean on you a little bit here. I need your experience and your strength in these matters. And I'm really grateful that you're here.
I'll try.
I'm grateful for it. Thank you.
She starts putting her shoes back on, and you can see it's her like her regeneration isn't kicking in. Like you're seeing, like it's not regenerating. Like she's tried, and she seems a little worried, and like they're still there, and you can see them clear as day. Like they're not. It's not like she's imagining she has these. All right, so you two want to go into the Umbra. You want to step into the Umbra.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have that right.
That's okay. I think even though Selena and Lou are busy doing something else, we could say somebody else in one of the other packs, Roach or something like that, can give you a hand. I don't think that's an issue. I'll still say, so let's just say, just generally give us an occult and maybe a wisdom roll. Actually, no, because you're trying to get her to come to you, right? Give us some sort of persuasion or etiquette or something like that, right? And then
Okay.
Give me that with maybe like a charisma. I'll leave the occult to
Okay.
to the NPCs. And plus you're an Umber traveler too, so I don't think, even though your occult's probably not the greatest in the group, you're still very
Good
adept
try.
at-
3.
Okay. So
Not bad for 5 dice, I guess.
No, 3's fine. You're in your own set. This is super easy. Like it's not hard at all. Had you been outside, kind of done something, it might have been more difficult. Eustace, I'll leave you with this. This is the thing that you see when you step into the Umbra. You notice that the tree where she had landed has grown, and in the Umbra, not in the physical world, you see that it has grown larger. It's still luscious, but you can see there's these branches kind of sticking out, extending here and there. And you notice that there are these very small spirits that seem to be weaving through the top of that extended tree, almost like perching up here and there. So your instincts about her watching are 100% on point. And that's what you think this probably is, some sort of surveillance. So Rune will say to you, it is like her wisdom tree, but smaller. Sometimes when we wanted to call to her when she was away, we would climb atop it and we would speak to her, and then she would know that we sent her a message.
Well, then it sounds like we should mirror that here.
So
Damn, you're smart.
the two of you climb up the tree. And Eustace, what do you say? So that's your roll, 3 successes. So
Okay.
whatever you say is basically 3 successes worth. And see if that's enough to convince her
Okay.
to come out from wherever she is.
Mother Morella, I'm not going to waste courtly words upon you. I think that's Dawnclaw's way, not yours. I believe that your children are in need of your wisdom and your guidance and your protection. I would hope that you would bestow us some of that grace and come meet us here. And I would like to work with you to keep them safe and take care of the dangers nearby.
Okay. With 3 successes, so the two of you linger atop for some time. You don't need to expend willpower because you've got the Umbral Traveler feat, but she does. So you do see she grows tired over time as you two are lingering for a while. At a certain point, though, Eustace, you see in the distance around you, again, you're in the Umbra, you can see your spirit is pulsing below. You see the grove is in this beautiful state. You see the mountains off to the east, the Superstition Mountains there and their beauty that are, you can tell it always looks better in the Umbra than it does in Riel. You watch a massive shadow emerge out from behind it with these extremely large, wide, feathery wings in the far distance. And it leaps up into the sky, comes back down, and begins sort of almost nosediving back into the direction of Gaia's Grove. We'll cut from there. And we'll go over to Lou and Selena, who were... You were doing surveillance then on
Yes.
Sasha Bennett. Okay, walk me through what you wanted to do.
I'm assuming this is what routes do they get from point A to point B? Is that what you had in mind, Lou?
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to be stationary in a vehicle, but I was thinking I could run Hispo for the extra dexterity and Blur of the Milky Eye to keep myself from getting detected easily.
Sure.
And then I can take out any surveillance cameras if I needed to. But it might be good if I can run. It might be good if you're set up, because you've been trailing her, right? So
I did a trail of her.
trail.
Yeah.
So we might know.
You definitely know
don't-
where her place is and where the headquarters are. And you went one path. So you can easily retrace that path you took. It's just a question of whether or not that's the only path they ever take.
Sure. Okay. Would you want to drive, or would you also want to run a wolf?
Can you make me? Tin? then probably drive, because there's just lots of cars around.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess I can't text you with no fingers. Never mind.
And your goal here is
Bluetooth headset for dogs.
So what information are you looking to get here? You're really just looking to the paths that they take, the routes that they take. Is that the goal with this?
Or general timing, if she's consistently doing
Gotcha.
anything.
Okay. Sure. Give us the stealth. You can even do halves if you want, because I know you're using the Milky Eye. You don't have to roll all of this if you all want to do half. That's fine in this situation. Selena, you're driving, you're saying. You can still make an awareness test, though, we'll say. And you don't need to roll drive. It's not an intense driving moment. But you can roll awareness with wits if you want. And maybe between the two of you might glean some extra things. Stops and startled.
2 successes.
Okay. You happy with that?
No.
You can reroll just the green ones. I can reroll the red one too, because you can't brutal. So
That's true. You only have the one.
Okay, I've got, I successfully got Hispo and blurry Milky Eyes up, past those checks. And then my stealth is going to have a wisdom bonus to all stealth tests. So it's still dexterity plus something?
Yeah, dexterity plus stealth. Yeah.
Okay, and then plus wisdom. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And yeah, let me know what you're doing. I'm not on that tab. Like how you want me to roll. Not so good.
3
Just making a strange face. 3 successes? Okay. So is that 3 for both of you, right? Certainly you had 3 as well.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll say 3 successes is not necessarily going to reveal you, since you're keeping your distance and you're really just trying to get patterns. You're not trying to get too close in any particular way. So if you're keeping your distance and just trying to get patterns, 3 is enough. You will notice, we'll say over the course of a day or two, a day and a half, maybe you do this 2 days in a row. We don't have to worry about the timeline too much. You do notice that she does vary the path, or at least whoever's driving her varies the path. Lou, I'll give you a few other. I'm combining your roles, and so you're going to get different information. So, Lou, one of the things you would be able to glean about her vehicle is that it is relative. So you can tell there's extra paneling. You can tell that there's extra tech. It's giving off some basic kind of like some signal. You can tell that there's enhancements that have been done to it. If you try to at any point like peer through the vehicle, you can tell that it's sort of, even your penumbra senses is sort of blocked off. It's almost like the car itself seems to have some kind of protective barrier that prevents eavesdropping in some way. Could just be a spirit that she's using. There are plenty that do that, technologically jamming signals, things like that. So that's something you notice. Selena, I'll say now that you know what to look for, you do see her. She never makes a stop anywhere other than home or that neighborhood in the headquarters.
Okay.
She doesn't do a Starbucks run. She doesn't go to Arby's. She doesn't go. What was the other places we went?
Whataburger, Burger King.
Whataburger. Yeah. We got to start naming other ones because they didn't reach out for sponsorship. So I'm very disappointed. So doesn't stop at any of those types of places. Nothing like that. So you can see it's very clearly point A and point B. The route between point A and point B changes each time. So in the morning, at night, in the morning, at night. So between Selena, which you've already seen, and now what you're seeing with Lou, you've seen 4 different routes. They all go to the same place, but it's just like she's taking different things here and there. But in that time, you haven't seen repetition. They haven't repeated it at all. Obviously, there's certain roads that they have to go on, but various routes there are different. Never takes a highway either. So you notice that as well. Okay. The other thing you would see, Selena, is that the people that you see letting her out, she's got a driver and she's got two security. You notice that they are well dressed. Lou, you also can tell, as the two of you are sneaking around here and there, they too seem to have something on them, which suggests that they have maybe enhanced equipment. And you recall when you guys had the fight in the highway, there was enhanced equipment here and there. There was like that sniper from the distance. There was ammunition and munitions and guns, all of that seemed to have some sort of, like, they seem to be very well equipped in some fashion. So I would say that's probably what the two of you would glean with 3 and 3, without trying to push into the neighborhood or anything for it. Like just from trailing her back and forth. You know that they have like weapons that could hurt you. And also have some sort of tech spirits that can, what seems to be jam or obscure some of what you're seeing. Okay, and then we'll end on Jacques and Duke. You guys drive well out west. Takes you the longest time to get there. It's not a hard drive. It's simple. There's no complications. You don't get ambushed along the way. Eventually, you do leave the vehicle and begin exploring the actual wilderness itself. So you guys it's Kofi. I think it's called what I call it. It's not what Kofi. I called it. It was Kofi Wildlife. Kofi Wildlife. So it is a big wildlife preserve, and so Jacques, it's actually quite nice because you are away from all these different trappings of the Weaver and of humanity, and it's just wilderness for a while. And it's actually, as you're wandering through it, what you would know, Duke, just from your previous knowledge of them, is that they are a very reclusive bunch. They off the grid kind of deal. The number you had was like satellite kind of phone. It wasn't connected to anything. And you know that they live almost like in a squatting sense away. They don't have specific homes. It's more like a tree village out in the distance, right? And I'll say, as the two of you traverse the forest, which is not difficult, whether you're doing Hamid or Lupus or whatever, all of that is simple. You eventually reach the site where you know they had once been. And when you get there, it's immediately apparent to both of you something is terribly, terribly wrong. As you can see, there are downed trees, upturned earth, where they had built very crude shelters here and there, nothing extravagant, right? Those have been dismantled, destroyed. There's signs of explosions, old like they've been around for a while, like small little munitions maybe have gone off here and there. The two of you are both, I think, particularly good at different things. You would be able to tell that there is a very faint waft of corruption in the air. The scent of the worm, basically, the worm's minions. You guys also notice that in the trees that had been broken down this way or that, you notice many of them have been marred in some way. You see the ground has been disturbed. As you continue to explore, maybe one of you climbs a tree, expects something, maybe, and kind of gets a better view. You realize on the ground, the full ground of where their abodes had been built, these simple huts and things, you see that there is, torn into the ground itself, this spiraling image around and around and around. And the bark of the trees, the same thing. You see the corruption, the death, the corrosion of some of the bark is creating these almost naturalistic spiral forms. And every which way you go, every which way, you see the clear sign that this place was hit by and succumbed to the similar kind of attack that you all had suffered but survived at the start of the Chronicle. So I figure we're at time. Let's end it there, and we can kind of pick up on further investigation and following up on a few things next time around, and we'll end on that. All right?
Nice.
And you guys are completely split
Awesome.
up. It's been all the black
Three
spiral dancers
ways.
come rushing down.
We
grabbing at
are
the-
super safe.
I am so confident right now that if Sasha Bennett and those two, actually three if you count the driver, would have wiped the floor with Selena and Lou. I am supremely like, no Eustace, no Jacques. Two of you are going
Oh
down.
yeah.
I'm also,
Look out.
I was like really tempted to run Gremlins.
If
And
Lou
I haven't-
Brutal outcomes, oh my gosh.
I haven't been able to
Holy
heal
crap.
either.
Really
So
hard
like
roll.
I'm
That
still
would've
sitting
been-
with one. I'm still
Oh,
sitting
yeah,
with one
you didn't-
aggravated.
you didn't
So the words
And I tried
recon
during-
only.
Just, well, yeah. That's why I
But-
asked what you guys were trying to do, because if you were trying to like break into the
No,
neighborhood
no,
or
no,
follow,
no, no.
that would have been a higher difficulty. But just like, nah, that's fine. 3 is okay. All right. So we'll pick up there next week. Again, we're getting into the end. We're kind of doing in that sort of collection phase, and eventually you'll unleash a plan of some sort. Let's go ahead and do some plugs then. We're gonna start with our good friend Jeremy, our dear friend. He has been on the channel for years now. Go ahead and tell us about this Patreon you got.
You know what? It's Aaron Reese on Patreon. It's got comic books, tokens, maps, and other fun stuff. You should check it out.
Fantastic. Had it ready to go. Wasn't stalling in the least. Wasn't stalling at all. Aaron, what's going on with Garblag, man?
Let's see. Next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can find Millie, the GM, continuing her run of Free Leagues game, Coriolis. She's been running it for years. It's an incredible space opera adventure, so check it out. Then on Wednesday, at the same time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you'll find me back in the narrator's seat as we continue our Marvel Multiverse, Cataclysm of Kang. We completed the Rank 2 adventure, The Friendly Neighborhood, and we are starting the New York State of Mind with Rank 3 characters on Wednesday. And then, like I mentioned at the top of the show, you can check out Pete from Garblag Games on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, continuing his heroic deeds run of the Red Hand of Doom.
Perfect. And speaking of heroic deeds, if you're right now in Twitch, check the chat. Go take a look at heroic deeds up on Kickstarter. If you're watching this later on YouTube or on VOD, check the show notes and stuff. We'll have a link to it. Heroic deeds up on Kickstarter. If it looks like it's something you would like, kind of old school kind of deal to it, give it a back. He's a good friend of ours, and Pete has been working really hard in the game for quite some time. So take a look at it, see if it's something you're interested in. And go for it. Well, and like Aaron said, on Tuesday, we're planning on doing some a preview of it. So Aaron's going to run us through a couple sessions of it so we can kind of put it on our own channel. So if you want to see that first before you make a decision, makes perfect sense. Come check that out on Tuesday. Other than that, our games, what we got next Friday, tomorrow, we got Delta Green. We're back to that. We are in North Carolina dealing with I don't know, something. I can't remember what it was about. We're in North Carolina.
Weather.
I remember that part. Oh yeah, weather. The weather's really bad. Okay, I'm starting to sound repetitive because now I'm doing
Hurricane.
thunder here, storms, hurricanes, weather. Okay. All
And
right, I'm gonna have to
autopsies.
change things
Don't
up.
forget the autopsies.
Oh yeah, I baited Melissa into an autopsy that she didn't need to do, that revealed no information, and is probably going to cause trouble.
Nothing.
It's like,
That's
so,
two
sure?
autopsies.
She's like, I'm just gonna do a cursory examination. Just a cursory examination? You sure you don't want to do any more? And she totally about that. And immediately backfired on her. It was fantastic. Saturday, Call of Cthulhu, Eternal Lies. We should have the full crew back. We're in Los Angeles. We're investigating a cult that through sex parties and drug parties. It's like something that Eyes Wide Shut. It's pretty awesome. So come check that out. Monday, you can see the top row here as we're playing through Monster of the Week, the finale of our Monster of the Week run. So come see Family Splatters and watch me just murder them with their family and their grandmother's arch enemy. We already mentioned Tuesday, Heroic Deeds. Aaron's going to give that a run. And Thursday, we'll be back for here. And the last thing I'll say is we do have a new Discord. I'll repeat this. I mentioned this at the start. I'm going to drop the link one more time. Melissa's going to drop the link one more time. Come hang out with us. If you're checking us out later, check the notes and stuff. Come hang out with us. Say hi. Help us figure out what we want to run. We're going to have some changeover. We've got some new games coming. If you have some ideas for games that you'd like to see us play, throw those out there. We'll take a look. Maybe it's something that we might want to do as well. But that's all we got. Thank you everyone for hanging out tonight. Thank you to Toys Daily Network for giving us the raid earlier. We are going to pay that forward. We're going to raid our weird but very fun and cool friends, Insomnia and IRPG, because they do weird stuff every time we raid them. So have a good night. See y'all later. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.